Hello everybody. It's 17th session of your physics paper 1 syllabus. We have started unit 2 and in this session we are going to focus on some tools that are used for the recording and reproduction of sound. We are mainly going to focus on magnetic tape, photographic film and a compact disc, out of which, in case of magnetic tape, the information about the sound is stored in the form of magnetic energy, whereas in case of photographic film and compact disc, what we call it as CDs, in these two cases, the information about the sound is stored in the form of light. So let us see it one by one. This is the overall structure of magnetic tape. You have already seen the cassette that were used before many years for listening songs. So this is the overall structure of a magnetic tape. It mainly consists of a magnetic tape and three magnetic heads. These are the magnetic heads. These are the two main parts of this magnetic tape. Along with these two main parts, there are guides that give some direction to the tape, as well as there are the reels to hold up this long tape. So this is the overall structure. The working of magnetic tape is based on the storage of magnetic energy. Basically, a tape recorder converts electrical audio signals of sound that comes from a microphone into a magnetic energy. This magnetic energy print out the information about the sound on the moving tape and thus convert the electrical audio signals into the magnetic energy stored in the form of magnetic field on the moving tape. When we play back this tape, what will happen? This recording on the tape is again converted into the electrical signals, and thus the information about sound will be recorded and reproduced in case of this magnetic tape. As we have said, the main parts of magnetic tape are recording tape and magnetic heads. So a recording tape is nothing but a plastic film. Mainly the material used is either a PVC or mylar material, and the requirement is that this material should be quite resistant to the rubbing process and stretching process. So a recording tape is nothing but a plastic film that is coated with tiny magnetic particles, mainly the iron oxides. These particles are in the form of tiny needles. The thickness of the tape is about 25 micrometer. Now comes to the point of magnetic heads. Actually, when we read about the magnetic head in book, we found that it is something very complicated. But the concept of magnetic head is very simple. The main concept behind this magnetic head is that when a current flow through a coil, magnetic field will be generated. Like any bar magnet, a current carrying coil could also generate a magnetic field. The strength of this magnetic field will be increased if we keep a ferromagnetic material in this way inside that coil. So basically, a changing current or current flowing through a coil produce magnetic field. This is the main thing about the magnetic heads. So a magnetic head used in a recording tape, magnetic tape, is nothing but a ring of magnet. It is a ring of ferromagnetic material. It is a ring of certain ferromagnetic material such that there is a small gap between these two edges of that ring. This gap is the position where the recording tape actually do some contact with this information in the form of magnetic field. So it is the gap where the information will be exchanged between the magnetic heads and the recording tape. So there are three magnetic heads as we have said. The first one is the erase head, to which a very high amplitude and high frequency AC magnetic field is applied, so that if there is any data on the tape, then that data will be erased with the help of this erase head. The gap in the erase head is quite wider one as compared to the remaining two heads, just to increase the time period in which the tape remain in this erase head. So the main function of erase head is to erase the previously recorded signals on the recording tape. The main head is the record head. It is the record head, middle head of magnetic tape. It is a head to which the audio signals could be given to the coil wound on this record head. The audio signals will be given to the coil wound on this record head. So as the magnetic field will be changes, the magnetic or the particles present on the tape will get magnetized. The strength of the magnetic field that will be produced, it depends on the strength of input signal. So more intense or more louder the signals, more magnetic field will be developed, and this will magnetize the particles present on the tape. And in this way, the image of input signal is stored on the tape. But basically, along with the input signal, a very high frequency bias signal is also applied to the record head. So the input to the record head is not only the input audio signal, but it is the high frequency bias signal also. This bias signal is applied in order to remove or in order to count the previous magnetic history, what we called it as the hysteresis property of that particular magnetic particles present on the tape. So in this way, it is the record head that imprints the information about audio signals on the recording tape. Now it's the time to convert this information stored in the form of magnetic energy back to the audio signals, and this job will be performed by this playback head. This playback head, again wrapped or wound by some coil. The changing magnetic field on the record tape, it generates some voltage in this coil. As per the Faraday's law, a changing magnetic field induces some voltage in the coil, and this induced voltage forms an electrical image of signal which is recorded on the tape. And in this way, we can play back the audio signals that have been saved in the magnetic tape. Next to the magnetic tape, let us come to the point of photographic film. We have seen this photographic film many times in older cameras also. There were some reels, what we called it as reels, that negatives will be developed in order to obtain the photos. So we are speaking about that photographic film. A photographic film is used, as I have said, to store the photos, but it is again used for storing the videos also, like picture and the corresponding sound. So, a photographic film is nothing but a strip of transparent film base coated with some photosensitive material like silver halide crystals. As I have said before, that on photographic film, the data is stored in the form of light. So the photographic film is coated, is actually there is a coat of light sensitive material. A film used for recording of picture and sound both is actually 35 millimeter wide, out of which 25.4 millimeter is used for recording of picture and remaining portion 2.54 millimeter is used for the recording of sound. There are two ways by which we can record the sound on the photographic film. What are the two ways? It is the variable area method. It is the variable area method in which the sound is saved in the form of variable area alongside this picture on the photographic film. Whereas in case of variable density method, the sound is stored in the form of bars that are having different strength and different, you can say, thickness or this width of the bar. So in this way, in these two ways, the recording of sound on the photographic film is done. Let us see what is the variable density method. In this variable density method, basically a special lamp, what is known as the AEO lamp, is used. This is filled up by certain quantity of helium. The anode of the lamp is connected to the high tension battery, whereas the central tube, or we can say the filament, is connected to the low tension battery. Now, what will happen when the audio signals of sound, obviously the output of microphone, actually, because we have seen that a microphone is a transducer that converts the sound energy into electrical signals. So the electrical signals of sound coming from microphone, that will be again obviously amplified signals. They are given as an input to this circuit, or in which there is a lamp. Now the intensity of light coming out of this lamp due to this circuitry is proportional or is in accordance with the strength of audio signal that we have to print on the file, on the film. So the light coming out of this lamp, the strength of this light is in proportion to the strength of audio signal. This light, the varying light, it passes through a slit and a focusing lens. And this focused light fall on a moving photographic film where the image is recorded because there is some photosensitive material. So an image will be recorded on the film in the form of bars of varying density and varying distance. So, the information in the form of audio signals is stored on the photographic film in this variable density method. Now let's come to the variable area method. Variable area method. In this variable area method, the light of constant intensity falls on the slit. But actually what happened is that the signals, audio signals coming out of a microphone and obviously amplified audio signals, they are given as an input to the mirror galvanometer. This circuitry is nothing but a mirror galvanometer circuitry. The audio signals, when it pass through the coil of galvanometer, some magnetic field will be generated. That magnetic field interact with this permanent magnetic field, as a result of which the coil, there will be some deflections or vibrations, we can say, into the coil of galvanometer. A mirror is attached in this galvanometer that again deflect as per the deflection of this main coil or current carrying coil. The deflections in this coil depends on the strength of audio signal, and thus we can say the deflections produced in this mirror are proportional to the strength of audio signal. Now a light from lamp, which is again focused with the help of this lens, this light is allowed to fall on the mirror, from which it gets reflected to the slit. Now this opening of slit, or the distance of this slit, opening portion of the slit, is not fixed one, but it varies as the sound pressure varies. So there is change in the illuminated part of this slit, the part over which the light is falling. So as the strength of audio signal changes, the illuminated part or slit area exposed to the light changes. This light is allowed to fall on the photographic film, which will produce some variable area, which is proportional to the width of this slit, which is changing one according to the strength of this audio signals. So basically, audio signal allow this current carrying coil to deflect or vibrate. This will deflect the mirror present in the galvanometer. As mirror is reflecting, and as we are focusing some light on this mirror, the light gets reflected towards the slit. The width of the slit is not fixed one, but it is changing as per the sound pressure. The light coming from the slit will produce some bright area on this photographic film, and in this way the sound signals will be recorded on the photographic film. The next aid that is used to record the sound is very well known to us, all of us, and is nothing but the compact disc, widely known as the CDs. A CD is nothing but a circular disc or having diameter about 12 centimeter and thickness 1.2 millimeter. But this circular disc is not only made up of metal, or it is not only made up of plastic, but it is a combination of metal and plastic disc. Basically, there are three main layers in any CD. There are three main layers in any CD, but along with these three main layers, there is a fourth layer also, the dull side of the CD, that contain the label describing the data stored in that CD. So the very first layer of CD is nothing but a polycarbonate layer, which is quite brittle layer, over which a reflective metal layer is there. This is a more widely used material is aluminum, which is used as a reflector in CD, but in rare cases the gold is also used if one wish to store the data for many years later. So in order to increase the age of the data, one can also use the gold. The third layer is a liqueur layer. This layer is just to prevent this uh, polycarbonate and reflective layer from the exposure to the environment, and thus to prevent the oxidization. And as I have said, the fourth layer is nothing but a laser layer. A fourth layer is a layer, or obviously a plastic layer, over which the information about the disk will be printed. That is a label layer. So whenever we say that we are burning a CD, what is mean by a CD burning? When we place a CD for burning process, we actually place it under a high power laser beam. We place a CD under high power laser beam, which etches the bumps on the CD depending on the information. These bumps are known as the pits, and these pits are there on a CD in the spiral form. The radius of the spiral form is increasing from inward to outward. And the more interesting thing is that if we unwound the spiral present on any CD, then it will cover a distance of about 6 kilometers. So very long structure of pits are there on a CD. The unburned area on a CD, we called it as the land. Thus, the information is stored in a CD in the form of pits and lands, or we can say the information is stored in the form of zeros and ones. That is, a CD is a device in which the data is stored digitally, whereas in previous case, in case of magnetic tape or photographic film, the data is stored in terms of analog signals. Here the data is stored digitally. Now when we put a photo sensor, when it is detected or focused on this CD, this photo sensor sees more light when reflects from land. More light will be observed by a photosensor when it reflects from land as compared to the light coming from the fields. These light variations are then converted into the electrical signals, and in this way the data is first recorded and then reproduced in case of a CD, compact disc. Now whatever compact disc we see in our hand, say in our day-to-day life, the making of that CD is a very complex task. Basically, a CD is nothing but a very delicate glass piece, what we called it as the glass master. The very first thing that is taken into account about the glass master and about the CD preparation is that the glass master should be free from various defects. It should be dirt free. There should be no any charge, and after making or clearing all these defects, a glass master undergo a polishing process under controlled environment in order to obtain the desired smoothness. The next step towards the CD making is coating this glass master with light sensitive material. It is also known as the resist mastering preparation. Or in this step, we are actually converting a glass master into a resist master. Now, a photoresist or resist material is any photosensitive material that is widely used in areas where we have to label some information. So that is done, or coating of glass master with this light sensitive material is done in this step. Here, first of all, a thin primer is applied to the glass master, and then on that primer a layer of photosensitive material is applied. Once the primer is dried and another thin layer of photoresist material is applied, it is kept in oven and baked for 30 minutes at 90 °C. Thus, a glass master converts into the photoresist master. The third step, and a very important step in this CD making, is the laser beam recording. Because this step is important, because we have coated our glass master with a photosensitive material. Now our aim is to store our information, the desired information, or to print that desired information on that photoresist material which is sensitive to light. So in order to do this step, what is done? A laser beam is applied to the uh, to resist masterpiece. When a laser beam is applied, then this laser beam, what it will do, as per the data, according to the data, the laser beam will form certain pits, or we can say bumps, on that particular disc, or we can say master, glass substrate master, that has been converted to resist master actually. The laser used here is the chromium gas filled excited laser with a wavelength of 351 nanometer. So now in this step we have recorded our data onto the CD. Our next step is to develop that CD so that we can actually see our data. And this developing of digital data on the CD or sensitive material is done with the help of some chemical solution, mainly the alkaline chemical solution. Once the CD get developed, we will see, obviously we will not see by naked eye, but the clear cut picture of pits and lands will be observed on that particular CD. Now, the next process is the electroplating of glass master to obtain a stamper. Now we have already printed our data on the glass master, but that glass master is such a delicate thing that we cannot use it freely for next process. So what is needed is to do the metallization of that glass master by a process what we called it as the electroforming. Electroforming is nothing but making a layer of metal, and thus thickening that particular substance. You may have seen various ornaments or jewelry or decorative items of this type. So this is nothing but a electroforming, in which a layer of metal will be applied to that particular substance. So the electroforming will actually thickens the glass master, which will now said to be a stamper. After this electroforming process, a glass master is converted to a stamper. The stamper that has been created in this way is particularly called as the father stamper. Father stamper. A negative of this data, obviously there is some data on the father stamper, and the negative of this data is created where we called it as the mother stamper. The mother stamper is not used directly for the data transfer, but the main role of the mother stamper is to convert or to create various so-called son stampers. Son stampers. The son stampers and father stampers are, we can say, these are the one and the same thing as far as its structure and data is concerned. Now, either father stamper or son stamper is used for next processing. From a son stamper or a father stamper, many CDs will be created. Next to this, a molted polycarbonate layer is applied to our glass master, so that a clear piece of plastic in the same shape and size of compact disc is then formed. At this point, our CD is completely formed one. The data is stored on the CD as per our wish, but the next process is quite important one. The next process is coating the CD with aluminum layer, a reflective metal layer. Because if we leave the CD as it is, a plastic layer, the laser beam cannot read the impression data, because there will be no any reflected beam to convey the information, and thus we need a reflective layer that will reflect light back to some reader. So in order to do this, a thin layer of metal is used. To protect this thin layer of metal from physical damage, one more plastic layer, liquid plastic layer, is applied over it. And the last step in making of CD is printing the label of on the CD, what we called it as the dull side of dull side of CD. And this printing could be a silk screen printing or offset printing, depending on what we have to print on that particular CD. So these are the various steps through which a CD needs to go if we have to wish some data, if we want to store some data on the CD and again reproduce back and transfer to various places. So I will stop here. In the preparation, obviously great efforts are required for the preparation of this session, but I am very much thankful to Wikipedia, to hypophysics.com and to the newsiberian.com, in which I got a sufficient data for the preparation of this session. Thank you. Have a nice day.